Alex, it's Bozeman here. Hope all's well with the family. Just a heads up, we're expecting those troublemakers at Disrupt to attempt to hack the channel during the broadcast, so keep an eye on the interference screen and stay out of the orange. Let's keep the news on the air. It's important, now more than ever.
Screaming at some pensioners while they try and fashion a nutritious meal out of a can of condensed milk, a cow's tongue, and some rhubarb. Not one to miss.
Julia's team have asked me to ask you to keep it light.
What
does that mean?
Documentary
Do that
series,
thing you do where you turn politicians into humans?
which looks at the
Just
astonishing
don't get drawn into
progress
talking
made by
about the war,
Advance as we
politics
begin
in
what is
general.
only
They
their
do know this
second
is the
year
news,
in
don't they?
office. At
You didn't hear
8:30
from
p.m,
me,
it's
but-
over to Patrick Bannon for all the day's sports board highlights, including all the tabletop action from the
Apparently,
semi-finals
they're
of
at Team HQ
Pro-Amateur
right now.
Sports Board,
Just giving a
the
speech or
Sports
something
Board
tonight.
Sports Board
They'll get it on the late news.
At 9,
Oh,
it's our
great, so they get the
nightly
brains and we get the
report
performing
from the late
monkey.
news team, followed at 9:25 by our
Sometimes
unsettling
you sound
day
just like
when
him, you
Katie
know.
went abroad, which tells the
are
cautionary
you?
tale of one brave young lady's battles to survive the cruel administrations of our
It
neighbours.
is what it is.
At 11:25, it's Incisors.
It is what it is.
And tonight, Dr. Adrian Atkinson
I'm missing
Blimey
Katie now.
will be getting his teeth into Fiona from Hamble Bamblebury.
10
who's
seconds,
invented
everybody.
A tasty twist on
Rub
the humble
that sod.
biscuit. And that takes us, after the weather and public
Going in
information
5,
film, into our
4,
close down.
3.
But first tonight, it's time to join Megan and the team for the
Good
National
evening.
Nightly-
This is the National Nightly News. I'm Megan Wolfe. It's the 140th day of war. Our main headlines tonight. Company of Heroes. Skirmishes on land and sea again today as our armed forces tested the mettle of the World Council's illegal blockade. Advance's strategy of multiple small-scale incursions into the disputed zone is certainly keeping the enemy on high alert, unable to work out where or when the next strike will come. Proud parents throughout the territory find themselves ever more impressed by the bravery and commitment of their incredible children and the job they're doing keeping supply lines open against all possible odds. Don't starve. Advance's food programme moved from strength to strength today as rationing depots were opened in the last remaining unfed areas of the territory. The rationing depots have been constructed in record time, and the government's agricultural coordination strategy has seen shelves restocked with increasing regularity. And judging by the looks on this happy family's faces, it can't come a moment too soon. They'll be getting a good meal tonight on the government, just like the rest of us. 7 days to die. The recent decision to allow those with long-term health conditions to access transition centres has today been declared an overwhelming success. Previously available only to those in their final years, the expansion of the service has been met with relief by the many organisations calling for it to be opened up to the wider community. The transition centres have reported larger than expected numbers, but report that they are coping well and able to provide a complete and meaningful service to all who choose to use it. Populace. More than 11% of the population have thus far failed to register for a team membership card, a worrying statistic given that the cards are a legal requirement from midnight tonight. It's up to the other 89% of us to remind our tardy friends that not taking advantage of all the exclusive services available to cardholders is now, as it should be, absolutely criminal. Start me up. Disrupt spokesman Alan James held an impromptu rally today in the northern city of Mankipool. Large crowds gathered to hear the band speaker prove Disrupt are still able to capture the public's imagination. A representative from the Mankipool Community Cohesion Team described the event as mostly peaceful. But it looks like Disrupt aren't going quietly into the night. And finally tonight. Our mutual friend. Bail was denied in the High Court today for shamed former National Nightly News anchor Jeremy Donaldson. The presenter will be transferred to new lodgings at Pension Ridge Prison, while the lengthy preparations for his trial, which is still 18 months away, begin. Following his very public breakdown on this programme 10 weeks ago, the once-loved presenter was disarmed and taken into custody by the Community Cohesion Team. Let's hope doctors can help the once great man. But first this evening, with the war about to enter its 21st punishing week and people hurting up and down the country, I'll be grilling unpredictable Prime Minister Peter Clement in an exclusive interview from his home in Lancashire. That's coming up on tonight's National Nightly News. little overexcited to announce I'll be interviewing the one and only Lil C. And later we've got a new feature that's sure to keep you coming back for more. But first tonight, let's check in with Prime Minister Peter Clement, who's speaking to us from his home in Lanfordshire. Good evening, Prime Minister. Have we caught you exercising?
Have we started? Yes, that's right, Miss Wolf. Just a few minor adjustments. I mean, nothing drastic. I haven't joined the gym or anything. As my old mum used to say, just because she won't take it up the shit, it doesn't mean you shouldn't try for a quick fiddle up the car park.
Language, Prime Minister. Language, Prime Minister.
What? Quick fiddle? What's wrong? Oh, shitter. It's shitter, isn't it? Yep, that's the one.
And can you tell us what brought about this new you?
Well, you know, Mrs. C and I were watching, you know, the night the blockade began, when Jeremy Donaldson... Well, you know, and it were blistering hot, as I'm sure you all remember. And I were a bit wheezy from all the cigars and all that. And Mrs. C turns to me after the signal dropped away, and she was in floods of tears. And she says, Peter, she says, I couldn't go on without you, she said. So I made a decision. And since that day, I have stopped smoking cigars. Except for Christmas. My birthdays. Weddings. State dinners. I suppose that I got as useless running backwards doesn't go anywhere. And apparently I'm going on a walking holiday this Christmas, and that should finish me off for bloody good.
Did you make the decision to holiday within the country this winter because of the blockade, Prime Minister?
Well, Mrs. C has never liked travelling at the best of times. These are certainly not the best of times.
You don't need to wait for me. Disruptor everywhere. Every bar.
Tape involved in leaving the territories at the moment, as I'm sure you're all aware. Those forms are bastard long.
All in it together.
What? All in it together. Oh, yeah. Also, it doesn't seem very advanced to be going abroad when the rest of the country is grounded.
And yet, Julia Salisbury announced today that she'll be visiting Svenland during this year's winter break. Is that really an example of team spirit?
What? Did you know about this, Gail?
No one tells me anything, Peter. You should know that.
What did you know?
Well, leaving that for a moment, it says on this card that a body like yours must take some planning to achieve. What's your morning routine?
Well, I have a frigid morning routine.
Rigid. It's rigid, for fuck's sake!
Oh, yeah. A rigid and demanding plan that my doctor and personal trainer...
Who's your personal trainer?
Some prick called Clark. Is that on your card?
I thought you might wonder. Prime Minister, speaking of planning, with the blockade in its 20th week and the people of this country reeling from its effects, what plans do you have to get us out of this mess?
Well, that's a very blunt question, Miss
Surely
Wolf.
one for which you, the democratically elected Prime Minister, must have an answer.
Don't you get smart with me, Pat. I was a fucking national treasure before you were a twinkle in the milkman's scrotum. You want to talk about plans? Let me tell you about plans. That's all we do. Fucking plans and revised plans and then meetings to discuss the implementation of plans and plans and yet more planning for fucking plans and yet more fucking plans.
Well, that's good. That's good to know, Prime Minister.
You know, I used to really like you, Pat. You were a breath of fresh air. But I've been watching you, and you know what? You get more like him every day.
I will take that as a compliment. Prime Minister, later on this evening, your co-leader, Julia Salisbury, is going to give a national address from team headquarters. Can you give us a hint of what she's going to say?
Yes. Well, I imagine that there
Sorry,
will be
sorry, you
the
imagine?
usual... No, what I mean is...
You do know about this broadcast, don't you, Prime Minister?
I'm sure I did. But Julia and I have no secrets from each other. We don't memorize each other's bloody diaries either. As my old mum used to say, If you wanted to get a job done quick, don't get bogged down in the pubes. What else you got?
Sorry?
Only cards, what else? A little piece of my life do you want to rustle through? Get out, refill my last. Get out, refill my last. Ah, come on. Come on.
Okay. What music do you listen to when you work out? What music do you listen to when you work out?
Well, Gail tells me that I work out to Lil C, but I have absolutely no fucking idea who that is. And do you think the C stands for...
It stands for collaborative, Prime Minister. It stands for collaborative,
that
Prime
does make
Minister.
more sense, actually.
How's rationing affecting you?
It's hard, but we get by. You just have to learn to get by on the basics. Take comfort in each other. I've got Mrs. C, and many a fine single month. I want for nothing.
Except for a decent night's sleep. Of course.
Prime Minister, thank you for joining us. When we come back, it's time for the Culture Spot with Lil C and a world premiere performance of her new song. I genuinely can't wait to hear that. We'll be back after this. We'll be back. 1 minute back, everybody.
That is what happens when you wander from the car.
I don't think he knew about that statement.
I don't think anyone's supposed to know. When you mention Bozeman's face turned a colour that I think you call embolism.
I'm in trouble.
Bozeman? Nah, you're like the daughter you never had. I suppose the higher-ups might fire him, though.
Who's Lil C?
There's injustice,
Who's Lil C?
Are you winding me up?
What? I'm civilised. I read books.
You'll no doubt have spotted the updated mixing disc. You'll need the new buttons during the next sections. First, we'll need applause when the guest enters and before her song. Don't worry, I'll walk you through it when we get there.
I've never heard of her before.
She's big, really big.
Is she any good?
Nah, of course not. She's dog shit. But kids go mad for her.
Military blockade, some destinations may
Hang on, Colin, you've got kids.
the cruise
Yeah,
now
I've got
mainly
about
takes place
6 or
around
7, I think.
Zimbabwe.
What?
5, 4, 3.
Thanks for coming back. Later, we have an exciting new feature that we just know you're going to love, so stay tuned for that. But first, I'm really excited for our next guest. She rose to prominence as the delightful Susie May in All My Daughter's Children's Men, before taking the music industry by storm this year with her debut album smashing the chart records at the age of just 20. Let's give it up and welcome Lil C!
The staff excellent hook.
May I just say, you look incredible.
Oh, thanks, babe. I'm doing this new regime and it really does work.
What's the regime?
My manager suggested it to me. It basically involves bathing in like cabbage water and then having the leaves sucked out of you while you sleep.
Wow, is that healthy?
Well, look at me, Meg. The leaves are my only nourishment.
Yep, they certainly are. Now, you'll have to forgive me, but I'm somewhat of a super fan, so I'm sorry if I get a bit starstruck.
Oh, bless you. I've never actually heard of you before, so if you do get a little tongue-tied, I can always carry the interview.
Oh, that's good to know. So your first album, F My Face Together, it hit shelves this summer and it just exploded. I mean, what was that like for you?
Bonkers, just so weird. I was in all the papers and the magazines. Overnight, I went from that, like, annoying little girl from that show to that, like, sexy little girl from that show.
Wow, that must have been bizarre.
Not really, it was just like any other morning. You know, get up at 5, go on a 4-mile run, have 3 meetings on my cabbage bath, but then only then was my dad actually talking to me.
Oh, of course. I mean, the famed country singer, Billy Bob Jean Short. I didn't know you'd been estranged.
There's nothing that strange about it, Megan. Okay, yes, he may believe that aliens told him to hate women, but there really isn't anything to prove that he's wrong.
So, this newfound explosion into your popularity, I mean, did that change your life?
Well, I had to start wearing like nicer underwear, you know, for the paparazzi. But as my manager says, best to make the most of it before I'm 30.
Is that right? So what's the album about?
So I thought it was about like how pretty and great I am, but actually it's about monetizing youth, I think, or about like promoting an unrealistic standard of beauty or something.
Your manager again?
Yeah, he says insecurity is an opportunity.
Ooh. Do you think he'd be happy with you telling us all this?
Telling you all what? It really doesn't matter what I say here. I'll do my dancing and then this part will all be forgotten about.
Oh. Well, yeah, I mean, we're going to see some of those famous dance moves very shortly because you're going to be performing your new single, aren't you?
Yeah, it's from my album Put It In My A Together and it's out tomorrow.
So soon, after the last one?
Oh yeah, I've actually released 2 albums since lunchtime and a clothing line during this interview. So this is called Cry for Help and it's going to be in all the best high street and retailer shops and it's out now. So girlies, you know what to do. Scream and cry until somebody gets it for you.
There she goes. Blimey. All these projects, they're keeping you very busy, aren't they? It must be tough.
Yeah, it can get tough and I hate it sometimes and I hate myself. I just want to like cry into a bath of root veg. But then I think thousands of girls would do anything to be me, so I must be quite lucky.
Well, you know you don't have to do this though, don't you?
Yeah, I do think that sometimes. Most nights between like my 4th vodka and the 8th time a stranger slaps me around the arse. I think things could have been different, you know, like better. But I don't know. I love doing autographs and having somebody dress me and tell me what to wear.
Did you always want to do music?
Well, ever since I was a little girl, I did. I'd sit in front of the radio, and as soon as my favourite girl group would come on, I'd press record on my cassette, and then my dad would come in and tell me to turn it off and to go back upstairs and start practising again.
Sorry, is your dad your manager?
Yeah, which can be tough, and sometimes when it gets really hard, he'll say, make Craggler proud and you might just survive childbirth.
Well, you know what, despite anything, you'll make me proud.
Oh, if only your opinion was as valuable as his.
And on that problematic note, you're going to be singing your song for us soon, aren't you? Tell me about it.
So it's called These Babies Gonna Bring You Home, and I actually got sent the lyrics in the car on the way up here. You know what? It's actually all right. And don't worry, all my work is team approved.
All right then. Well, you can go and get ready for that. We'll see you in a little bit. It was a very specific type of pleasure to chat to her, and I just can't wait to hear this. Oh, so here's Lil C with an exclusive first performance of her new track, These Babies Gonna Bring You Home. Take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's the Force's favorite, the Queen of Teams, here to break in your blockades, Lil C.
Oh baby, can't you see I'm hungry? There's a place in me that's empty. I want that meat you're packing, only you can fill that crack in me. I'm under siege, so come and free me. Ain't no disruption here, boy, I got no agenda. Just want the team and me, no dirty foreign member. Don't stop no morning drill, there's holes in me that ain't been filled yet. I only scream this loud when you do your country proud. I ain't no Vickers, but I come and skirmish on my border. Quick before I get much older, tie me down and pull me like an enemy soldier. An enemy soldier. So let them try and break our dream. We fight and love and die at two. So wanna be that Clemens boys can come and use me as a toy. I wanna see some action, so come and break my sanctions. I've been this wild and free was only 53, but gave to save her family. There's no one judging me if I'm the one that's in your fantasy. Don't die alone, this baby's gonna bring you home. I ain't no vicar's daughter, come and skirmish on my border. Quick before I get much older, tie me down and hold me like an enemy soldier. An enemy soldier. So what if Peter Clemens boys can come and use me as a toy and flip me over, grab my hair, rip off my clothes and done from there. I wanna see some action, so come and break my sanctions.
Well, if that doesn't distract you from the world outside, I don't know what will. I'd like to thank Lil C for doing that. Don't go anywhere. After the break, we'll finally be revealing the new segment of our show that we just know you're going to love. We'll be back right after this.
And we're out.
Can I just say, thank you so much for letting me do this. It really means a lot to me, you know. To be able to promote myself on such a mainstream platform like the news.
Well, don't worry about it. And you know what? Good luck for the future. Take care of yourself. This industry can be crazy sometimes. Watch out for that father of yours.
Oh, no. I manage myself. It's just, you know, for the public to have that certain perspective. You know what it's like.
Oh, right.
And Michael? Michael?
What about Billy Bob Jean Short?
Oh, my dad. He's such a sweetheart. We both had the same agents, you know, like it just made sense. Both of us for our image together.
Wow.
And Michael, I want to see the revenue share for the clothing line and get me a G&T before my meeting with the lube guys. If they say for your pleasure, I'm going to start needing it.
And you'd be right. We've had our biggest and
This next section will need you to use all 4 of the sound effects to help things along. Try and pick the most appropriate one in each given moment. The actors can't hear what you're doing, so they'll be trusting you to make the right choices.
a red wine where you can hardly taste the chemicals. Some rare.
Well, the fact is, Jen, there's enough flowers in my dressing room.
There were exactly 12, as it said in your write-up.
Do I look like the sort of person who counts things? No, not anymore. I'm better than that now. I'll tell you what, just keep adding flowers until it feels like 12. Got it?
Absolutely, right away. 10 seconds.
So good you'll believe they were made somewhere else.
5, 4, 3.
Thanks for joining us for part 3. We've been teasing you about our new feature all night, and now the wait is finally over. I can reveal that every night on the show, we'll be treated to an episode of an informative and hilarious new segment called The Notice Board. It stars some top talent, and we're very excited about it. But before we see it, let's have a quick chat with the writer, director, and phenomenon, may I say, Jeff Algebra, guys.
Actually, I've dropped the algebra. I go by Jeff DePlume now. How'd you like that?
Yeah, very fancy. I suppose you need a new name now that you're a successful artiste.
Well, exactly. I'm earning enough to pay taxes now.
Oh.
It's shit.
And how does Angela feel about all this? Your wife. Your wife.
Ah! Oh, God, no. No, she's long gone. No, she was holding me back. I'm with Norm now. We were married last month.
Norm de Plume.
Yeah.
Norm de Plume.
Yeah.
And why did you write this? What was your inspiration?
Oh, well, I received a telephone call offering me 25 grand to write a protein sitcom. And I heard my father's voice. It said, Jeff, you listen here, boy.
You make hay while the sun shines. You wring every penny you can get out of this.
So I wheeled him down to the transition centre, got out my typewriter and started clacking. That's a shite.
And without further ado, let's give it up for the notice board.
Excellent, you're a natural. Keep it up.
Good morning, Miss Craven.
Oh, morning, Ray.
Everything all right, Mrs. Craven? You look as worried as the vicar in closing time.
Oh, Ray, it's those young louts. They've vandalised my shop again.
No!
Yes! They've written all sorts of obscene language and crude pictures, and I know it's those damn youths.
I don't know. It could be the vicar at closing time.
I'm just worried they won't ever become productive members of the community. What if they never see the error of their ways and end up as social outcasts, such as shoplifters or bong rats?
Don't worry, Mrs. Craven. This is a very supportive community, and I'm sure that in time they will fit into this society like this key into this lock. See? Works like a charm.
What a lovely way to put it, Ray. And just like that, we can unlock their future.
Yes, yes. Wow! Look at all the letters in my collection today.
Oh, I think that one's addressed to me.
What? This one? Oh, so you're right. Here it is.
It's a letter from my granddaughter, Brenda. She says she got an A on her maths exam because one of her friends has been helping her. She was always a team player, was our Brenda.
What's up, losers?
Oh, no. It's Brad. He's the coolest guy in the village.
That's right. I just got here on my motorbike.
Oh, clear off, Brad. We don't want any of your ilk around here.
What? Rad dudes?
No. Ruffians! Have you come to tag the notice board with your gang signs?
No way! I've actually come to pin my resume on that notice board. I'm looking to do some tutoring after school.
What? Did you say tutoring?
That's right!
Tutoring?
Maths is very important. Right. Would you mind, Ray? Would you mind, Ray?
Not at all.
Not at all.
So you, a young person, have been spending your time helping others and not just urinating on churches or huffing glue?
Hey, I haven't huffed glue for months.
Well, blow me down!
You know what? We misjudged you based on how young and cool you are, and not on your actions.
No doy!
So it wasn't you who vandalised my shop last night or called me a rancid old crone from the back of a chopper?
No way, it can't have been me. I was too busy helping my friend Brenda with her maths homework.
Could you speak up there? I thought for a minute there that you said Brenda.
I did, you daft old sow.
Did you hear that, Ray?
Oh, yes, what a wonderful surprise. I now respect you as a man.
Put her there, Ray. Oh, what the heck? Give us a hug.
Sorry to interrupt the first groundbreaking episode of the notice board, but we are receiving some breaking news. I'm being told we are picking up reports from across the continent of what appear to be nuclear explosions in 4 major foreign cities. Initial estimates put the death toll into. They put them into millions. I'm being told we're experiencing some power shortages as a result, so apologies for the interruption. And apparently we can go live now to team headquarters for an emergency broadcast from Prime Minister Julia Salisbury any moment. Yes, let's go to that now.
Good evening, citizens and leaders of the world. Minutes ago, operatives working for Advance detonated nuclear explosives simultaneously in 4 major cities across the continent. We have similar devices in 58 other urban centres and will not hesitate to detonate them if our conditions are not met in full and without delay. The people of our territory will no longer tolerate your illegal and genocidal blockade. You are to remove it immediately. We will accept nothing less than your unconditional surrender. Your territories will be taken under our control. We will install replacement governments to ensure that your citizens become part of the new future. Your borders are now our borders. Your people are our people. They will finally be fed and clothed and educated and healed. But for your privileged few, the moment that they feared is now upon them. Allow me to be crystal clear. If you fire a single shot at our territory, or harm a single one of our citizens, we will not hesitate to detonate further devices. You will not find them, though no doubt you are already searching for them. Our technology is decades ahead of yours. We will expect your complete acceptance of our terms by midnight tonight. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't really talk about my personal life in my job. It's not relevant or important. So many of you may be surprised to learn that I have a brother. His name is David. And right now I can't get his stupid face out of my head. He's a researcher and he's currently travelling the continent for work. And I don't know where he is right now. And I should imagine that there are many of you sitting at home tonight digesting this news, and you also have loved ones on the continent. In Urkistan, or Havia, or San Palmerino, or Konislava, which is where David was when I last spoke to him 3 days ago. So when I tell you I know how you are feeling tonight, believe me, I do. But I also know that there's There's a flow to events. I see it every day here. I know that although tonight it feels like we may be in a time of fear and darkness, we may actually be at the break of a new dawn. We don't know that yet. We can't know that yet. But together we will find out. And I will be here every night, feeling what you are feeling. And with your help, maybe we can all get to that brave new world. My name's Megan Wolfe. Let's make tomorrow better.
And we're out. We've got people ringing round, but the telephone networks are overloaded. Okay. We'll find him.
Do we know exactly which cities were hit, or...
Megan. We will find him.